Okay, so in this section we want to talk about tables and how we would put in tables and format tables. So the first thing you need to do when you're putting in tables is make sure that your insertion point is in the right place. So your insertion point, as we seen earlier, is that flashing line. And if we insert a table, it's going to go in exactly where that insertion point is. So we have our insertion point in the right place now. It's just beneath my name there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Insert tab, and then we're going to go to Table. Now when we click on this table option, you can see it gives us a grid-like format there. And what we do is we just hover the mouse across it, and you can see it's showing us the amount of rows and columns that we're going to put into the table. So columns run up and down, rows run over and back. So that's the way it works. We could also go, I'll show you in a second, we could also go to the Insert table and we could type in the number of columns and rows that we want to put in. So if we want to put in 5 or 6, we could put it in there and just click on the OK button. I'm going to use this quick option. So I want 8 across by 3 down. So you can see I'm just hovering across it. When I'm happy enough that that's the one I want, I click on it and it puts it in for me. So you can see there's my table in straight away. Now what we want to do first is we want to enter some text into the table. I'm going to put in here, I'm just going to put opening time in here, and I'm going to put closing time in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the days of the week at the top. I'm just going to put I'm going to leave them short just to save you watching me doing it. So we're going to just click in here. So what we're doing is we're just doing a timetable or an opening and closing time for a shop. So I'm just going to type in the times here. We're going to put 9 o'clock on Monday morning and 5:30 on Monday evening. So that's our opening and closing time. And we're not going to type them in right the way across. What we're going to do is we're going to select both of them like we did earlier in our copy and paste section. And we're going to click on the copy button. And then we're going to select where we want to put it to. And we're going to click on the paste button. And you can see it puts it in for us. So anything you need to do like that, that's going to speed up your productivity. So there we have our text into our table. And what we want to talk about now is the way you would select a table. Because like everything else, if we want to format text, we need to select it first. If we want to format a table, we need to select that table first as well. So the first thing we'll talk about is selecting a row. I'm just going to put it one line down just to give us that wee bit of extra space around it. If we want to select a row, we can click out to the left hand side here. You can see my cursor is going to change from this black arrow into that white arrow. Once it's at the white arrow, that means it'll select the entire row across. If we wanted to select the second one, we just click out to the left hand side. So that's selecting rows. If we want to select more than one row, we click and drag into the rows. If we want to select the first and the last row, we would click on the first option. We would hold Control down on the keyboard and click on the second one, and you'll see that allows you to select alternate rows or not the rows in the middle, non-adjacent. If we want to select columns, we go to the top of the column and you can see we have that small black arrow there, and once we click on the small black arrow it selects the row, the column. And again, if we want to select more than one, we just click and drag across it and it's selecting more than one column for us. And if we want to select non-adjacent ones, we select the first one, we hold Control down on the keyboard, and then we can select the other ones that we need to, like that. So that's the way we do it. We hold Control down and click on them and it selects it for us. So that's selecting rows and selecting columns. So you can see the two of them are very similar. It's a white arrow for the left hand side and a black arrow for the top. The next thing we might want to select is a single cell. And the way we select a single cell is just by clicking in the bottom left hand corner of this cell, and you can see we just click here and it selects the cell for us. Again, it's the exact same. If we want to select more than one, we just click and drag across it. So that would be a case that if you wanted to select a few of them across the top, you don't want to select the whole row, you just want to select a couple of cells, you could do it that way. Or again, if you wanted to select a couple of cells, we just click on the first one, hold Control down and click on the next one then. And it selects it for us. So using the Control key. If you may have seen there, I clicked on the first one. If I hold the Shift key down and click on the last one or the second last one, it selects them all in the middle. So the shift selects from one to the other one, whereas the control key selects the ones that you actually click on. So that's selecting them. Now if I wanted to select the whole table, I could just click across it and drag like that, or they have an automatic option in. You'll only see it when you go from the inside of the table out to the left hand side. You can see we have this, what looks like a plus sign up at the top left hand corner. If I click on it, it allows me to select the whole table then. So that's your option for selecting the whole table. So that's, we've looked at putting in a table. We've looked at putting in data in a table. If I wanted to change opening times, I could just put an S at the end of it. So you can see I can just click in and edit the time. If I wanted to change, maybe on a Thursday, we're going to open late, I can just select the text that I want, and I can change the time there. So you can quickly change things in and out. The next thing we want to look at doing is inserting or deleting rows and columns. So if I want to insert a row in the middle of these two, so in between opening and closing times, what I can do is I can right click on one of them. Now it doesn't matter if I right click on opening times or closing times, or I can click right across here. But the next step then changes. So if I right click on opening times, I want to add a row below. If I right click on closing times, I want to add a row above. So you'll see it now. So I'm going to right click on opening times, and it gives me an option for insert. And then I have an option then for insert rows above or below. I want to put it below. So I click in here, and you can see it puts it below for me. I'm going to click the undo button then, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go into closing times, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down to insert, and now it's row above that I want to do. So depending on where you click, it's going to determine which option you use, above or below. I'm just going to put in here now lunchtime. And again, we'll just do lunch is from 1 to 2. So once we have lunch from 1 to 2, we can select it. We click on the copy button, or we can select it and click on Control and C. And Control and C is the shortcut for copy. And then we can select where we want to put it and click Control and V. So Control and V is the shortcut for paste. So there we have the options in there now. Okay, the next thing we want to talk about then is these columns. So you can see that the columns are width. There's a lot of white space in them. What I can do is I can alternate the width or change the width of them to one that suits me. So I'm just changing the width of the columns there. If I want, I can double click them, and double click them will automatically fit them for me. And you can see it's putting them in for me there. And then we can put them out. So you can see it automatically fits. So it's the quickest way of doing it, double clicking. Or if you want them to a certain size, you can click and drag. Or we have this table tools. So you can see if you watch at the top, it's the first time we've seen this. When I click into the table, I'm going to get this table tools option at the very top. It's what's called a contextual tab, and it's there when we need it. So it's only there based on the context. So when I'm doing tables, it gives me table tools. When I'm not doing tables, it doesn't show it for me. So in the table tools, we have two options, design and layout. And there are two tabs here. And on the layout tab, if I select a column, on the layout tab, I have a width option. And on the width option, I can change the width to a certain size up or down by just clicking on it. If I selected the whole table, so we'll just select the whole columns there right across, I can change the size of it right up and down. Maybe put it to 2. And you can see it automatically changes it straight for me. So that's a way of putting it in. Okay, the next thing we want to do is the row height is the same. So you can click and drag the row height up or down depending on what you want to do. So you can click and drag it up or down like that. The same as we can drag the columns, and we could change the row height here the same as we could do it there. So it works for both ways. Okay, we want to look now at modifying them cells. So you can see that the lines in between the cells, so all them wee boxes are called cells. We want to modify them. So what we do is we select the whole table. We can go up to the design tab of the table tools. We want to go into this borders button. So once we go into the borders button, you can see we've different options here. So we've borders and shading is one of them. Once we click into the borders and shading button, it gives us this table. So similar to earlier on that we had with the borders. And what we do is we go in here, we can select a different style. So if we want to pick a different style, I'm not going to pick one that's too mad. I'm going to just pick one of these maybe dotted lines. I'll pick it that it's a blue color so you can see it. And I'll put the weight of it a wee bit bigger. So the weight of it just means the thickness of the line. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the options. On the right hand side here it gives us options. So at the minute you can see it's giving you preview and it's showing the lines at the top, bottom, left and right, and also the interior lines. I can turn the top on or off. I can turn the middle on or off, or the bottom on or off, or I can turn the left, center and right on and off. So I'm just going to click on OK, and you can see it changes my box for me there now on my table. If we wanted to do it, we can select the whole table. We can go into the design tab and we can go down to borders and shading. We could turn off the middle of both of them and click on OK. So I've just turned off these two buttons, the middle on it. I click on OK, and you can see then it only shows the border right round the outside. So it's very handy for doing something up if you want to do a poster out or something like that. The only other thing we want to look about is we want to change the shading on the background. So if we select a column, you can see that these lines are still here. If I select a column or a row, so I'm selecting that row across the very top, I'm going to go up to the design tab, and in the shading option, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a color on it. So I'll put this color here on it. I can select a column as well, and I'll put the same color on it as well. So you can see here that we're getting a table done up. So tables are a very good way to be able to align text to keep everything looking the exact same way. Okay, so in the next section we're going to have a look at pictures and graphical objects.